Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the podcast. Today, in this mini podcast episode, we will take a look at a vehicle that's making waves in the electric vehicle world, the Volkswagen ID Buzz EV. Inspired by the iconic Volkswagen bus, this modern reincarnation combines retro charm with cutting-edge technology. Sebastian from the Kilowatt Station is joining us again to talk about the news that was just released today by Volkswagen about U.S. pricing, trim levels, and release. Sebastian, how are you doing today?
Great.
So yes, making news today is the news that Volkswagen is releasing some information about U.S. sales for the ID Buzz. I believe this has been on sale for a while over in Europe, but are now bringing it across the pond to sell it over here. So Volkswagen today announced pricing for the U.S. version of its eagerly anticipated EV microbus, which will start at $61,545 and exceed $71,000 for the fully loaded first edition. And this is where it gets a little iffy. The EPA estimates for the single motor ID Buzz is only 234 miles of range. And that figure drops a little bit to 231 miles with the mightier dual motor configuration. The ID Buzz lineup includes two trims, the first edition, the Pro S, and they'll also have another one at launch called the Launch Edition. The Pro S represents the entry point, making it the least expensive version of the van. It's also is available in a single motor rear-wheel drive powertrain for a whopping 282 horsepower. For just over $61K, the ID Buzz Pro S comes pretty well stocked with desirable standing features such as 20-inch wheels, heated ventilated seats. We'll talk more about trims in a little bit. So Sebastian, hearing this news today, I mean, we kind of expected it. We kind of knew the prices were gonna be around here. We kind of knew the range was going to be around here because that's what they're selling for over in Europe. What are your initial thoughts today?
Yeah, so like you said, it really shouldn't have been that much of a surprise because we knew what we were getting, right? Because it's been for sale overseas. But even still, kind of that initial first reaction is a little bit of sticker shock. 61K is a lot of money. Especially considering that's, your entry level. But you have to remember you're getting the 91 kilowatt hour battery pack, which is a lot of battery. It's maybe not enough battery since it's only 234 miles of range, but it's also shaped like a brick.
Yep.
There's not a whole lot you can do to help it when your vehicle is a big brick. If you do the math on that, 234 miles divided by 91 kilowatt hour, that's assuming the 91 kilowatt they keep claiming is usable, not just gross capacity. That works out to around 2.5 miles to kilowatt hour, which is honestly what I would expect for a vehicle this size and this shape.
Yep.
But as you did mention, the Pro S, you also for 61 grand though, you are getting a nice vehicle. It's not like you're getting an actual what a lot of people think of when they think of base model, right? You're getting heated seats, you're getting ventilated seats, you're getting a heated steering wheel, you're getting safety features, 3-zone climate, climate control, all the goody stuff that a lot of people wouldn't even consider selling on a base model vehicle. I don't even think you can get a base Tahoe or something like that, and it can include all of those features. Yep. And it'll be close to that same price.
Yes. So it's a really cool car. I mean, my wife saw this and says like, I have to have one. I'm like, we don't need a van. There's no need for us to have one. And that's the issue I kind of see with this car is the kind of people who buy this car, the kind of people that are going to want to kind of take it to the lake and take it up the mountains and kind of do some camping with it. And I don't know if that range is going to help them do that unless there's some destination charging. So yes, it is a brick. It's, it's just not. It's no aerodynamic to that whatsoever. So that's where you kind of get the 234 miles. I mean, they could have put a 200. They could have done like the Silverado and put what? How big are the batteries in the Silverado?
Yeah, could have put like a 220 kilowatt hour battery in it.
Yeah, they could have put a 220 kilowatt battery in there, made it a 500 mile car easily, but then the price would have been over $100,000 for that. So I think this is kind of like one of those niche cars. There's going to be a certain group of people who buy this car, and it's going to be, either those people who are kind of nostalgic to the Volkswagen bus, who the original Volkswagen microbus that are still around, or kind of like, I see this selling well in California. I think it will sell real well over there. I think it kind of has a market over there. You kind of throw your surfboards on and take it to the beach for the weekend, and things like that. So we did talk about the trim levels. So the first one is the Pro S, wheel drive only. What do you think of that being only a rear-wheel drive in a big van like that?
It's probably okay. We'll have to see. It's an electric vehicle. I don't think there's any electric vehicle on the market right now whose performance is truly bad. And so it doesn't really bother me that it's rear drive, but at the same time, it would be nice to have, a base model but still have the option for all-wheel drive, right?
Yeah. So the Pro S offers, so this is the second row bench seat to accommodate up to 7 passengers. Like we said earlier, 20-inch aluminum wheels, headlights with adaptive front lighting systems. This is what's interesting. Hello and goodbye head and tail light animation. So I'm curious to what that's going to look like in the real world. So it's, I guess it's a little gimmick thing. I guess this car is kind of a gimmick car. 12.9-inch infotainment display, a 5.3-inch ID cockpit digital instrument cluster. It has 12-way power heated and ventilated front seats, dual armrest, things like that. That comes in on the lower end model. They have Volkswagen is calling their drive feature IQ Drive, which has their standard driver 6 technology. And on this model, you get that, and you also get some park assist. When you jump up one more, you jump up to the Pro S Plus. Everything you get from the Pro S, it starts it's more expensive. You get 4Motion all-wheel drive. I guess that's what Volkswagen is calling their all-wheel drive. You get some more colors, and then also you have the Pro S Plus, which that's the model you have to get if you want the heads-up display. 700-watt Harman Kardon sound system with 14 speakers. The low-end model only has 9 speakers, I believe. So, in this one too, the Pro S Plus will also get you the dual power sliding rear doors, and of course, like everyone else, they have to offer a special one on the launch called the Launch Edition. That's going to start from $65 to $69. You get the 4Motion all-wheel drive. You get some different interior colors too, and that's that has the two-tone paint on it, which is pretty cool. So Sebastian, what do you think about these trim models? Is it kind of standard with what we're seeing with other vehicles?
So yeah, I appreciate that there's only 3 trim levels. There's not like 17. With a bunch of different tons of options. I appreciate the simplicity on it. Like we kind of mentioned before, I appreciate that for $61,000 you are still getting a lot of car. Even on that base model, heated and ventilated seats is a huge feature to just have base, standard. You're getting all the driver's assistance features, whatever. And I don't think it's too much of a jump up, when you consider like the next trim up isn't that big of a jump in price, and you get a pretty adequate amount of upgrade, for the price. You're not paying some, giant amount of money and then getting barely upgrades, or paying a tiny amount of money and get a ton of upgrades. Because in that case, if it's, if it was the latter, maybe the starting price was $63,000 and they would just cut out the base model, and the base model would be the middle model. So you're actually getting something for the money you're spending, which is nice. I appreciate, heads-up display is a great feature. It also, you didn't mention, I don't think you mentioned, but they're doing the area views, which is the 360 camera. So you'll be able to do kind of all which is helpful when you're driving a big brick.
Yep. Lots of blind spots. Yep.
And dual power sliding rear doors, for anyone who's into minivans knows that is an excellent feature when you have children, getting in and out and everything. Mm-hmm. That is a huge upgrade. And just the fact that you're able to do that without spending a ton more money is nice. And then, of course, the first edition is the first edition. It's going to be, it's your fully loaded model.
Yep. Everyone has it. So how does it feel that a car that's twice as expensive as your Bolt gets the same range?
Twice as expensive, gets the same range, and has an extra 30 kilowatt hours to play with.
Mm-hmm.
Again, that's just physics for you. You can't beat physics.
Can't beat science. That's right. All right, so we're gonna wrap this up. Any final thoughts before we wrap things up for the day?
Yeah. So just as far as like how I think it might sell, it's going to be tough at that price, really, especially when you consider it has competition. You've got other EVs, 3-row EVs like the EV9, which maybe, yes, it's not a minivan, but in reality, the minivan segment has been dying for a while anyway. You have people moving to SUVs, so you have things like the EV9, and if you start looking at the upper trim levels, we're talking 70-something grand, you're starting to get into R1S money, you're getting into Model X money, whatever. Or if you're really a diehard minivan person, you can spend less money and get like a Sienna or something, which is now fully hybrid in all the trim levels, get all the same features and probably still spend less money. So I think, like you kind of alluded to earlier, there's going to be a very niche market set for this vehicle, and those people are going to love it. I will love it probably if I ever have the chance to drive one, whatever. I will probably love it, even though I know I'll probably never own one because it just doesn't ultimately make sense for me. But I don't know. This kind of, we talked about this in a different episode we recorded recently, but all these automakers keep doing these niche cars instead of just building something that everyone will buy.
And Volkswagen hasn't really, they haven't really lit it up lately with EVs. I mean, they had the ID4, and that's kind of really it here in North America. And then they come out with this. Yeah.
Yeah, which
I
is
don't
another
understand.
interesting thing because like Volkswagen has quite a few models in Europe, in fairly competitive. You know, they've got ID3, ID7, ID5, all these different ones. You know, why in the US are we only seeing the ID4, which is, you know, a mass market crossover? That's a good, you know, good job, whatever.
Yep.
But then it's a weird minivan that ultimately is like, you know, important for the brand image, whatever, because it, you know, harkens back to the microbus, the nostalgia, whatever. But ultimately, I don't see them just selling a ton of. I don't know. It seems like it's just a weird decision to me.
Yes, Volkswagen, if you're listening, please give us other models to choose from, especially something maybe in the $30,000 range that what we could use here, because that's where the market's going. You're seeing all these automakers come out with these, you know, $30,000 cars, and that's we want to see that from Volkswagen, one of the largest, you know, automakers in the world. All right, thank you, Sebastian, for joining us today. As always, head on over to X and give them a follow at Kilowatt Station, and also give us a follow too by searching the EV Geek on X as well. Thank you all for tuning in as we discuss the latest news with the Volkswagen Buzz. Feel free to leave your comments below. We always love reading them. We hope to see you again on our next episode. So long, everyone.
See y'all.